Hi, welcome to this webinar, during which we will be discussing how to break through disinformation on social media with organic and paid strategies. To better understand how to tackle disinformation online, we will be looking at how it spreads to set some realistic expectations and understand human behavior. Then we will look at user behaviors online and how content is related to reach and engagement. Then we will move on to organic strategy, which is creating snackable content, discuss the 6 elements of snackable content, and look at some examples. We will then move on to the paid strategy and look into how does Facebook and Instagram advertising work. More specifically, the 3 steps to launch a successful campaign on Ads Manager, what are the key elements of a good ad in terms of creative and copy, followed by some examples, a brief intro to Facebook ad policy, and we will be ending the session with ads reporting. So how does misinformation spread on social media? The first thing we need to look at to understand how it spreads on social media is by understanding how the algorithm of social media platforms actually work. All of the major social media platforms like Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube use a deep learning algorithm that really prioritizes content with prior engagement, which means that the more initial engagement the posts get, the algorithm will take these as an indicator that this is a good piece of content and will start showing it more organically to more people on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. The reason why they do that is that these platforms believe that users are more likely to stick around and engage if they see content that actually has already some engagement compared to content that hasn't. The second important point is that humans are more likely to react to content or posts that taps into their existing grievances, biases, and beliefs. This explains why inflammatory content will get quick engagement. This will then give an indication to the social media platform that this is an engaging piece of content, and the algorithm will then prioritize it on people's timeline and their feed. A real-life example that illustrates these human biases took place in 2018 during the Toronto attack. In the chaotic aftermath of the attack, Natasha Fatah, a CBS journalist, published 2 competing eyewitness accounts on Twitter. One account, which turned out to be inaccurate, identified the attacker as angry and Middle Eastern. Another account, which was accurate, identified him as white, which is the only example you can see on the slide because the other one was eventually removed. The initial tweet describing the attacker as angry and Middle Eastern received far more engagement than the actual accurate one in the roughly 5 hours after the attack. More than that, the tweet with the correct account, the correct information, did not perform much better even 24 hours after the attack. This is one real example of how human biases also contribute to the spread of misinformation. Another key important criteria here is information overload. It also plays a key factor in contributing to the spread of misinformation. To illustrate this, I've taken a very specific and not real example. So this is Andy. When the pandemic hit, Andy was worried about contracting COVID-19. He usually relies on trusted friends for tips. While surfing on social media, he sees a post that says that the pandemic fears are overblown. Initially, he dismisses the idea. Then the hotel where he works actually closes its doors. And with his job at risk, he starts to wonder how serious the threat from the virus really is. No one he knows has died after all. So while surfing online, he then sees an article posted by a colleague of his that says that COVID has been created by Big Pharma in collusion with corrupt politicians. This really resonates with Andy's distrust of the government. He then joins an online Facebook group of people who have been or are fearing to lose their jobs, well, like him, and soon finds himself asking, like many of them, what pandemic? Several of his new friends are planning to attend a rally demanding an end to lockdowns. He decides to join them. And after he actually joins the rally, his sister asked him about it. He now shares the conviction that has now become part of his identity. COVID is a hoax. Another major contributor to the spread of misinformation are bots and automated accounts that impersonate human users. These greatly reduce the quality of the information in a social network. So based on research investigating this, we can understand that with less than 1% of human users following bots, the information quality is high. When it is just higher than 1%, the information quality shared of the network really becomes poor. That's how much bots and fake accounts can impact the quality and, as a result, the accuracy of information shared online. So what does this all mean in the overall picture of how misinformation spreads on social media? We can't really change the algorithm of social platforms, but we can understand how it works so we can work around it. So it is important to stay updated on these constant changes. Another important point is that content vacuum from trusted sources allows for misinformation or misleading posts to take hold. So it is important to be proactive with content, not only reactive by debunking misinformation. So creating good quality and authentic content that is really easy to read and understand is key here, while keeping in mind the impact of bots and how information is amplified. So this brings us to a discussion on user behavior on social media platforms and the different content formats and how they engage the users. Users online have a decreasing attention span, which means it becomes harder and harder to grab their attention online. There is also a saturation of content on all of these platforms, some good quality and a lot of bad quality content as well. So users also check these platforms from many devices. You have phones, tablets, laptops, not to forget about apps as well. So it is becoming harder to reach and to engage people in a saturated content world on social platforms. Also, when we look at content formats and how that relates to engagement on these platforms, we can realize that, for example, in this graph that dates from 2020, it highlights that different content formats generate different levels of engagement with users on social media platforms. For example, image rank number 1 at 68%, followed by videos at 50%. You also have text-based posts. These are basically images with text written on them or text overlays. Stories are at 26% here, but I'm pretty sure that this number has increased since 2020. You also have polls, GIFs, but only you have 16% for URLs or links that really drive traffic outside of these social media platforms. This is again because this platform want to maximize the time people spend on them. So taking people off the platform is not really something that they want to encourage. With all of that, it's really important to focus on creating what we call thumb-stopping content that grabs people's attention for a second or two. That means you have a window of 1 to 2 seconds to hold their attention. Now, of course, there are many strategies that you can use to do that. One of them is illustrated in this image of a dog. But to combine high-value information and thumb-stopping content, that usually means snackable content. So that's the main organic strategy we will be discussing today. Snackable content, what it is, and how to succeed at it. Snackable content is not really something well defined in marketing, but the main agreement on what snackable content is, it's basically content that is designed to be easy for readers to read, consume, and share, which means easy to snack on. So we have a vague or general definition of snackable content, but really what defines something as snackable or not are 6 elements in the content piece itself. The first element is the headline. We have talked about users' lack of focus and really lack of attention online. So a good headline really grabs their attention. It triggers their curiosity. It can take a form of a list, like 6 reasons why you should get a good night's sleep. That's one example of a really attractive headline. The second element is the visual. When scrolling, people notice the image first before actually reading the text. So your image should reflect your main message and really resonate with your target audience. This will result in an increased click-through rate if you are sharing a link or if you want people, for example, to watch a video. It also forces us, content creators, to reduce the word count on the image. The third element is the branding and design of the content. You might not think this is very relevant, but branding is very important to build subconscious awareness in the user's mind. They automatically recognize your content from your fonts, colors, logo, and style. That helps them to stop scrolling as well. Another element, which is very important, is the format. Instagram carousel are very well known to be engaging content format. You can use it to create long-form pieces of content like a numbered list and have more in-depth information as well. Infographics, graphs, short reels or videos are very popular with snackable content as well. These are all engaging in their formats, but format on its own doesn't make a piece of content snackable. So it is recommended to mix content formats and think of repurposing long-form articles into carousel. You can also do text-based videos or reels for the same piece of content. When creating snackable content, you need to think of minimizing the steps as well that are required to share the piece of content. Sometimes one click too many may prevent the audience from sharing it at all. That also means customizing the same content for different platforms to make it as easy as possible to share. That also means including a call to action, such as a share now button or tag a friend who needs to read this. Once they share it, this is all organic reach, and as marketers call it, it's earned content. The last element in the 6 elements of snackable content is testing and tracking. Remember, those are very general recommendations, but your audience may prefer different formats or approaches and may resonate with content differently. So make sure you test different elements, track reach and engagement and shares to learn how to make adjustment to your content strategy accordingly. Now let's look at some examples. The first example here is from the Kyiv Independent on their Twitter account. What is really interesting about this piece of snackable content is their use of consistent branding. They post the same post with updated numbers every week. The infographic format simplifies the understanding of a complicated topic, but also the headline is really attention-grabbing. So the success of the snackable content is evident from the number of retweets, quote retweets, and likes. Another example of snackable content is this video or reel from Bloomberg Opinion. You can copy the link from the slide and open it in a different browser to watch the full video. But the main elements I want to highlight here is the simple branding. They use the same font in black on a white background. It's really simple. But they also ask an interesting question that triggers curiosity and engages you to watch the video till the end. The video also got a lot of likes, but also most likely shares and saves on Instagram, which are very important to get earned content on the platform. Last point on this example is that the caption description, you will notice in the caption that they've added tap on the link in bio to read more about these 5 charts, which means that this links back to a longer form piece of content. So if anyone is engaged enough or interested enough, they would click on the link to read the full article. The last example is not from a media publication, but from a copywriter, the copy posting. There are so many things I like specifically about snackable content, but she uses it really very well in the carousel format, which gets a lot of saves and shares on Instagram. She also uses consistent branding with a numbered list as a headline in a very big font and a real image of her. Finally, the call to action is smart, and she wants people to actually swipe left to continue the full carousel. So this covers the organic strategy of creating snackable content to reach and engage people. Just remember to use colors, powerful designs, and consistent branding to build awareness with your audience. Use infographics to illustrate complicated data, keep text in the image to a minimum, and really focus on using powerful text and copy. Remember also to test a variety of content formats and keep video shorts and to the point. Because at the end of the day, the first 1 to 2 seconds are crucial to grab people's attention. And finally, most importantly probably, know your audience and track engagement levels for your snackable content to know what is really working for your audience. Now let's move on to the paid strategy, which is to advertise on social. Because we now understand the limits of organic content and its reach on social media platforms. There is an increasing need to promote high quality and factual content on social platforms. Facebook organic reach has been declining significantly since 2012. It dropped from 15% to around 1%. If you are really good at your content, you get 1%. That means that today, 1% of your followers will see your content organically. This is because of a few reasons. One is the increasing number of people and pages on Facebook and Instagram as well, and the decreasing content value. So Facebook has to prioritize what content to show its users, and it can't show them everything. But also not to forget that advertising is the main source of income for Facebook. Instagram, however, has been relatively better at engaging followers than Facebook. But in the past years, organic reach on Instagram also dropped by around 43%, which might indicate a change in the algorithm, an increase in the quantity of content as well on the platform, and more competition to Instagram from other platforms such as TikTok. That all brings up the reality of the limits of organic reach on Facebook and Instagram, but also probably other platforms, which makes it important to use advertising on these platforms to fight misinformation and reach your goals and objectives. But also with advertising, you can specifically target people who need to see, read, or engage with a piece of content, with your message, which at times might be different from your current followers. So how does Facebook and Instagram advertising work? Basically, the way the ad system works is based on an auction. It helps Facebook or Instagram determine the best ad to show to a person at any given time. You know, there's a limited amount of ads that Facebook can show to a user while keeping the experience on the platform smooth and enjoyable. The auction makes sure that the more relevant the ad, the less it will cost and the higher the result. This is why we better the targeting on Facebook and Instagram. The better you can target the audience that you want to reach by adding interest and redefining your target audience, the better the results of the ad campaign will be. Also, an important criteria is the right ad setup by selecting the best ad objectives depending on your goals, and the content format is also very important to make sure you optimize your budget as best as you can. This is a question that comes quite often or frequently in terms of whether it's better to boost directly from the page or to run ads through Ads Manager. The main advantage of running ads through Ads Manager is the targeting options that are available through that, but also the customization of the ad itself and the placement. Or if you want to run a campaign on Facebook search, for example, specifically, or on Instagram stories, and remove all other ad placements. So this is a table that clearly states the differences. You can do language targeting, use custom audience, schedule ads, and more by using Ads Manager. The reason why people usually avoid Ads Manager is that it looks harder to launch and manage ads through it than it actually is. So let's see together how to do this on Ads Manager. So to launch a campaign on Ads Manager, you need to complete 3 steps that are related to the campaign structure: campaign, ad set, and ad. Under each campaign, you can have more than one ad set, and under each set, more than one ad. We will go through each of these step by step, and it's going to become easier and a little bit more user-friendly as well. The first step is to set your campaign objective at the campaign level. This objective will help Facebook understand exactly what you want to achieve and optimize for it. You can choose from 3 categories of objectives. Objectives at the campaign level. You can only choose one objective per campaign. So if you want to run video views and engagement, then you have to run 2 different campaigns. The objective you choose will help Facebook optimize for it. This is where the proper setup of the campaign will help you get better results and lower cost. So at the awareness level, this is where you set objectives that build awareness for your cause. For consideration, objectives are usually focused on encouraging people to learn more about you, what you're promoting, and really engage with you. At the conversion level, you have specific objectives that encourage people who are interested in your cause to do something about it. For example, if you choose the traffic objective, your ad will be optimized to get people to visit a destination on or off Facebook. For example, on a website, on an application, or even start a messenger conversation. So choosing the right objective will help Facebook find people who are, for example, usually watch videos or engage with the type of content you are promoting, and so on. So under the awareness category, you have 2 main objectives, brand awareness and reach. Brand awareness is specific to help you increase people's awareness of a business, brand, or service. Whereas reach really shows your ad to as many people as possible in your target audience. So there is a difference, a very slim difference, but it makes a big impact on the ad objective and as a result, the results as well. Under engagement, you have more choices here. So you have traffic. This is to send people off Facebook, as we said, to a URL, either a website, landing page, or an application, and messenger or private message on Instagram. You also have engagement. This is where you want to reach people who are more likely to engage with your post, content, video, or anything else you have in the ad. If you have an application, you can also trigger or launch a campaign to get app installs. This is when you send people to the App Store to download an app. You can also launch a video views campaign. This specifically helps Facebook find people who are more likely to watch your videos. Lead generation is also a very important objective here. It helps you collect leads for a business. You can collect these leads, for example, to get people to sign up for your newsletter. And finally, messages is where you help Facebook find people who are more likely to connect on Messenger, Instagram Direct, and WhatsApp. So you communicate directly with potential or existing people who are interested in your cause. Under conversion, you have 3 main objectives. Conversions, which helps Facebook finds people who are interested in taking a specific action on a business site. So that could be either adding to cart or even subscribing to your newsletter or making a purchase or donating to your cause. Catalog sales is more specifically for e-commerce website and might not be relevant here, but it's also an interesting way of showing the Facebook capacity to find people who are interested in very specific products. Store traffic is more specific to if you have a specific physical location and you want to promote this location to people around the area or who are nearby. So a few tips when setting up your campaign objectives. You can create as many campaigns as you have objectives. If you have a video and you want to get people to watch it, but also engage through likes, comments, and share, you can launch 2 separate campaigns with 2 different objectives, one with video views and one with engagement as an objective. Another point is to make sure to name your campaign, something that's relevant to the campaign itself, so you can track the results in Ads Manager. And finally, when you are launching the campaign, you may want to select lowest cost as a campaign bid strategy, as this is the easiest for advertising beginners. After setting up your campaign objective at the ad set level, you can select your target audience budget. And here you can choose between daily budget or lifetime budget. That is the amount you want to spend over the selected duration. You can also set the campaign schedule and the placements. This is where this is where you want to show your ads. When you are choosing your placement, you can select either automatic placement, allowing Facebook to do this for you, or manual placement. So this is where you can select whether you want the ad to show on newsfeed, Instagram messages, in stories, and so on. This is important, for example, if your ad is in a square format, and it will show up as cut off in a stories format. So keep in mind that you can customize the different formats for the different placement at the ad level. A few things when it comes to the ad set level, you want to really refine your audience by adding interests depending on who you are targeting exactly with this ad. Remember, the more relevant the target audience to the ad, the lower the price and the higher the results. You can also narrow your audience and exclude people by interest to reach a more targeted audience. Finally, when it comes to language selection, it is recommended you only add language selection if the language you are using in the ad is not the main language in the country you are targeting. Finally, at the ad level, this is where you select the content or the ad you want to promote. That includes the format, whether it's a photo, video, link, and so on. The caption you have above it, and the call to action you want to use for that ad. The CTA option or the call to action option is optional and is not available for all ad formats. You can select a post or a video as an ad from the post you already have on the page, or you can create a new one from within Ads Manager. But keep in mind, the more text you have on the image, the higher the cost of the ad and the lower the result. Finally, when choosing a call to action button, if you do, and if it's available in the ad objective you have, make sure it is aligned with your campaign objectives and encourages your target audience to take actions that matters to you. Similar to the main guidelines of creating snackable content, your ad design and copy should also follow a few guidelines to be successful, such as having a bespoke copy, eye-catching design, and a strong call to action. These are the three elements to consider when designing an ad. Remember, mobile users spend an average of 1 seconds browsing an individual post. The idea is you want the image to catch the reader's attention, the copy to provide additional context to what you are sharing, and the CTA to encourage them to take the next step, either click or comment or anything that's relevant to the campaign. A few tips to keep in mind when picking an image. Use a high quality image. You don't want it to be blurry. It is best if you also use a real image and not a stock photo. People can subconsciously tell the difference, trust me. And make sure to pick an image that is related to the post or caption you are sharing. And if you decide to add text to the image, remember to keep it to a minimum. When selecting a video for your ad, it's important to use the first seconds to hook the audience. So that means avoid putting your logo or an intro in the beginning, but instead use something intriguing or surprising by either asking a question or having an interesting statement. This is key to engaging people. Also try to keep it short to make sure people watch as long as possible. Use a relevant thumbnail, which is the image that you show before the video actually starts. And finally, think about shooting your videos for sound off, for example, by adding subtitles, as many people have their phones either on silent or have removed automatic sounds for privacy. This is it for covering the basics on how to launch an ad campaign from Ads Manager. Now let's look at some examples from organizations. This is an ad from Purify H2O. Their objective is to get more donations, which is, from what I can see from the ad, either set up with an objective for traffic or conversions. If they selected traffic, then the main objective would be to get people to click on the ad and go on the website. And if they selected conversion, it is really optimized to get people to do the conversion and donate. If they set it up correctly, they must have picked, obviously, conversions, of course. But that would require also setting up something that we call the Facebook pixel, which is a piece of code that they add to their own website that feeds back to Facebook to measure how many conversions the ads received and how many donation took place as a result of the ad. As a choice of CTA, they use Donate Now to encourage specifically that. So what we like about the ad is the headline, which is short and emotional. Give water, give life. It's also reinforced by the image. And they also use an aspect of urgency by highlighting that this is the final 2 days. That's an example of another ad set up for traffic, but is using a video creative, which means the objective most likely is set to get clicks on the website and not get video views. The videos are basically testimonials from beneficiaries. The caption and the call to action they used is learn more. What we like in this specific ad is the use of video. It shows emotion and really builds trust with a good choice of a thumbnail. What could be improved about the ad is that the fact that the headline is long and a little dull. Another example here are for ads with engagement or awareness objectives. What they did well is the choice of real images in the ads because they are promoting the different organizations and the communities they serve. And they are actually tagging their Facebook pages. However, what could be improved about these ads is the change of captions. We want to make it shorter and less overwhelming. They also used a lot of hashtags, which makes it a little bit more overwhelming to read. Finally, the copy is a little too descriptive, too long, and a little also dull. The last example here is for ads with engagement or traffic objectives. They use a variety of snackable content formats such as quotes, facts, and infographics. What is really good about these ads is the consistent branding in all of the design they use and the different formats they've shared. What we also like is the fact that the captions are short, engaging, and that one of the posts includes a CTA, which is let them vote. So after you launch your ads, it usually goes through an approval process, and sometimes it might not get approved by Facebook because, for example, it doesn't abide by the Facebook policies. So this is a quick table of what will not get approved, but I've also added a link in the slide that you can visit for more details if you are interested or if you have a specific issue or ad that was not approved. Finally, after your ads start running, you can monitor their progress in Ads Manager. At the campaign level, you can track the results like post engagement, clicks, also the reach and impressions of the ad, but also the cost per result. This is the amount, also the amount spent and when the campaign ends. You can also check the frequency of the ad, which means how many times the same person saw your ad. At the ad set level, you can track the budget and the amount spent to make sure your ad is actually delivering. And finally, at the ad level, you can make sure your cost per result is low for each of your individual campaigns. This is it for this webinar. Thank you for watching, and I hope you have enjoyed it. Good luck.